All right, everybody. Welcome to part two of the show. I apologize for last night and the wind. Uh, evidently, evidently, Mother Nature does not want you guys to learn this stuff. Um, she said she was a raving lunatic last night. I'm gonna be nice and not call her the c word because she'll just do it again.
The wind has been screaming the last 2 days here.
I want y'all to know y'all just got saved from a night of boredom from me and the hand here. Uh,
Da da
Yeah,
da, Trina!
putting it in wrong. So I'm good now. Sorry.
yeah, y'all were gonna have a boring night of me and Todd trying to figure this out.
Mm.
Uh, because John was coming, but John is he's buying a car, so he's delayed, so he won't make it.
Oh, yeah.
You know, he was in a car wreck, so they were having to purchase another car to replace the one that got smashed.
Bless
Hi,
it.
Trina. This is my good side.
Hey there. How are you?
This is my bad side.
Okay. I now know.
Good side, bad side. Okay.
That's supposed to be good side, bad side.
Oh, no. I'm not like that.
Yes, you are.
A little
Hey, thanks
bit.
everybody for coming back for round two.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate the wind. Somebody said in Pennsylvania they're having the same stuff we had last night. I mean, it was awful. Even afterwards, I couldn't watch videos. I couldn't do anything. So I ended up just me and Phoebe took a nap in the recliner.
Well, we lost
Tom,
all power for 2.5 hours after that.
Tom, Tom is out of power right now, and the governor of North Carolina has shut down the state to
Hmm.
no school tomorrow for North Carolina and
Oh,
such.
oh.
No, James, he does not have a fleet of cars. They've been driving their Jeep, but their Jeep got totaled last week. So they only keep. I think that since she doesn't drive, they only keep one car, and it has to be a car that can be flat towed behind the RV. And yeah, so I think he has like a Razor or something else, but that's off road only. So I guess we'll just start over for everybody who missed it. So the book is Profit First, and it's basically the story of an entrepreneur who was very good at starting up businesses and very bad about tracking where he spent money and would just buy lots of stuff. And he was like most entrepreneurs that he just thought, the answer to everything is just growth. You grow your way out of it, you grow your way to profit, you grow your and until he sold his businesses, made a lot of money, and was spending a lot of money until he was so broke and didn't realize it. That the thing he comes back to it over and over. His everybody needs a bottom, and he reached bottom when his daughter, when he had to face the music with his family, and his daughter offered her piggy bank. That's the point he says that he would never go back to and change the way he thought about everything. And so he was an entrepreneur and he was writing books. And I'm going to listen this my next book. I know the next book we're going to do is Never Split the Difference, but I want to read. He's got the was it the paper pumpkin or
Toilet paper.
toilet paper something, whatever his first book is. I'm going to read that one because he just barely mentions in one chapter Profit First, and that's uh something what he was trying to design because the weakness of accounting is, we're all finishing a year and your accountants, if you've got one or if you're the one doing it, on taxes is going to look and go, oh, you made a net profit. And everybody's going to look around and go, I don't see it. Where is it? It's like, that's an accounting term. And I have an accounting degree and I understand this. I understand what profit is. And I fall into the same category. I'm like, I know I made money, but what the hell happened to it?
That
So
was
we
a
have,
really, yeah, that was a point in the book when he said to his accountant, "Well, where is it?" And
yeah.
he said, "Oh, it's all on paper." That's the disconnect.
Yeah. Cause even tonight, I meant to get. He was sitting at the other end of the table. One of the guys who eats with it is a CPA, and he's read the book. And I meant to get his take on it as well, but it's too difficult across people. So I'll do that and kind of mention it on one of the shows. But
Thanks,
it's
Barbie.
it's you really got to understand the pumpkin plan. Is that it? Or
Toilet paper entrepreneur.
and he had one called pumpkin something.
Pumpkin profit, says Joan Dickey. Oh, pumpkin. She said, yeah, pumpkin plan.
I got it saved on Audible. Give me about 10 seconds. I'll take my wish list. It's growing really big right now. So he's got one called Clockwork. He's got all right, maybe I didn't look at it. I know I did. His new book is All In. It is the Pumpkin Plan. Okay.
Okay.
So yeah, I just being the he's the author just reading the book. I like his sense of humor. I like the way he thinks, and so I'm gonna do 12 books through the year, but I'm really committing myself to I want to better myself and better my thinking, and so I'm gonna start using my time as I go back into RA, and like I'm planning a trip to Mississippi on Thursday. Your internet better be better, or you're getting banned. uh, and so that's going to be that's 2.5 hours over and 2.5 hours back. That's 5 hours, folks. That's really a book that I can listen to. That I can really use that. Normally, I just listen to a lot of music and talk on the phone, but I want to take advantage of the time, and so I'm going to pick a book to do. I'm going to start doing that. So I'm going to do the books through the week, and then for every trip I go on, I'm going to pick a different book to listen to on the trips. It's a great way to. I find as I was riding around listening to this and doing other things, and I don't get mad at traffic when I'm listening to it because I'm trying to learn and listen, so I'm paying attention to traffic. But you're also doesn't and I need all the help I can get with road rage. So, but it's so his idea was that entrepreneurs all the answer is growth, 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 and it's that you delay profit. Oh, it'll make profit after we grow, after we hit this sales target. And he's like, no, the business should make profit immediately and take care of you. It should be. It's so most people have had a job that's had a 401k, and he said it's that kind of thinking that if you set your business up to where you're automatically taking your profit and then taking your taxes out so that the business will pay for your taxes and pay you profit right from the beginning. It's like the 401k. Once it's taken out before you ever use it. So as long as you're taking it out twice a month, that money is not available for you to spend. So you get used to spending. So if you got $1,000 and you're taking out at start like 1% profit, if you've got $1,000 that you brought in this week, you can't tell me that 1% of $1,000 you can't make this on. Was at $9.90?
Right.
It's a simple. I think it's $10.
Mm-hmm.
Because something's wrong if you can't run the business taking 1% out, and so then you'll just continue to slowly move it up until you reduce expenses. I'm kind of overgeneralizing this. We'll talk about some of the details, but it's a very fascinating way to look at it. It is a way that it really helps so many people that have never been business owners. Most of us have ideas, but we don't the nitty gritty of the making the money. And really, you've got to have these businesses have got to take care of you so you can keep. You want to have a less stress in your business and be able to achieve goals you set out and all these things. The answer is the business taking care of you that allows you to do these things. It's amazing how clear your thinking will be if you're making money, because one of the things he really stresses towards the end when he talks about taking profit out, that he suggests that you use a certain percentage of it, just fund money, just do something to celebrate the fact that you've made profit And I think that's a great idea because how many times do we stop and celebrate our wins? No, we go listen to Josh Galt and John talk about uh, promoted listings for another like month or two, and oh my god, I'll make my head go wrong. So there's always some negative. There's always some distraction. There's always, and we never stop to celebrate. There are people that do that, but John has been doing a real good job at. You know, he has spent so much time. He spent years and years building to where he is now that they're going on cruise after cruise and doing whatever. You know, I really. So I'm because I can think back last year. I'm like, what did I do to celebrate? Even though sales weren't where I wanted them to be, I'm still in business. I still, everything is still fine. Um, I didn't, you know, I just continue to focus on um, moving forward and what I can do to get better, but never.
Well,
So,
Scott,
James, go ahead. Go ahead. What you say, Trina?
Scott, let me ask you a question. Before Profit First, would you mind sharing, as much as you feel comfortable, how did you decide how much to take out of your profits for your own personal pay and how much to leave in to then be able to buy new inventory? Was that always just a shot in the dark? Because it was for me before Profit
It's
First.
it's all it's all it's and I'm not quite implemented yet, but in the next 3 weeks I'll have it fully done. But it is. I'm an S corp with a salary. Once the salary's out and I know exactly which bills are coming out, everything else is just inventory. There is no profit. There's just constantly, whether it's a slower month or a bigger month, it's I buy more or less.
Well, let me ask you this.
And
How did you decide how much your S Corp was going to pay you?
what covered the bills.
Okay.
And right now, I have, as I guess they tightened up last year, my answer was like every entrepreneur, and he was like, I'm sitting here, I'm like, this dude is reading my freaking mind. I've reduced my salary 30% to cover shortfalls.
Mhm.
And he's talking about that, and I'm sitting here. I really connected with him because the way he is I don't know. It's just the way he reads the book and the way I'm really glad that I did the Audible versus the regular book because I feel like I have more of a connection with him that way.
I
But
agree.
I felt like he was talking to me, and I felt like, man, I because you always feel this is my first first strive at my own business, and I assume everybody else is doing it the same way, and everybody else is struggling the same way. Um, it's because we don't know any better. And I'm sitting here reading, man, I should have read. I'm sitting here thinking, I should have been developing myself and developing business side. Is I've talked about it but never done it, and I've talked about it being a business and treating it like a business, but not knowing where to start. And I'm so glad you suggested this book. This is a great one to start. It's really got me excited for what I'm really going to learn. I'm so anticipating this time next year, due to my being a much better business person, that the one thing I love is what he said in this book. And when he talks about it, he said because you're going to take percentages, your percentage of profit, your percentage of for each of the 5 accounts, even if you have slower periods, as you build up a substantial amount in the profit, that half the profit is for a rainy day fund. So now there's automatically going to build in a rainy day fund. So these months that we struggle up and down, you know, a lot of that stress will be eliminated.
Mhm.
Uh, and I've just adjusted automatically, just like everybody else does. And it's a and I'm gonna talk more about it tomorrow. I really think the weakness of most resellers is we're not we're resellers. We're not born business people. I mean, the business side of running a business, and most of us are single operators, and who can really develop that side of the business. And because we think, oh, but I'm better off because I'm a picker. The biggest part of me running my business is I'm best at it, but we never fix the other side. I mean, I'm looking forward to being so much better at this next year as I learn this year. Barbie says hard for her to understand the difference between profit and owner's comp. Owner's comp is your salary. Profit is above and beyond your salary. So that, yeah, the only thing I struggle with and understanding, and I is for self-employed and with paying self-employment taxes, how to because that comes out of it's going to have to come out of the owner's comp category. I guess we'll have it pay back somewhere, or who knows? Because I get a paycheck like anybody else, like a regular business because of an S corp. It's just every 2 weeks. Phoebe's mad at me for coming. I was running late, man.
Well, I'll tell you a little bit about how I implemented it because I broke some of his rules, but I want to maybe explain why. When you have, hopefully everybody in the chat has read the book and understands the difference between your cap, your current allocated percentage, and then your TAP, which is your what you want, your target. And so I did what he said. I had 1% profit. I did 15% taxes, which is what he recommends. And then I decided to take 50% owner's comp, which left 34% for my OPEX. And this is in my reselling business. But when it came to the flower farm, I needed a lot of upfront infrastructure. I had to buy a lot of equipment up front. So I decided to only take 30% and then increase my OPEX to almost 70%. That over the year started to swap until I was a little more even. And there's also been some times when our finances personally, we have so many bills at the beginning of the month, and I couldn't wait to the 10th to take my distribution.
Right.
Well, I was taking, I was going ahead and transferring it into my personal account. As soon as that money hit, I was taking multiple draws basically because I needed to, I had to. So hopefully I can build up a little bit of buffer in our personal account so I can get back this year on the track of just doing it twice a month because I don't want to stress out my personal account. But, life happens sometimes.
Yeah, I think as it's going to be because each business is going to be a little different. It's hard for him to apply to every business. So he's got a generic framework. So as long as you stay within the framework, I think, and the concepts that he teaches, um, I think you're fine. See, with me, especially with eBay paying, I was probably going to do it every week. With eBay paying every week and Amazon every other week, I was just gonna, because it's just me. I was just gonna move whatever, because it doesn't take very long to do the allocations
Mm-hmm.
and to make it a little more smoother because all the bills don't come in because all my subscriptions and stuff don't come in at the same time, and so I wanted to make sure until I can build a buffer and figure out what that buffer needs to be in each one of the accounts, so that the allocations will cover without leaving anything negative. Fart Attack Jack, there is a $300 drawing.
James, when it comes to investing in gold, I bet that Mike would say, take your profits and invest in gold if you want. Absolutely.
Yep.
I myself always worked in a private Christian school, so I don't have a retirement plan, no teacher's retirement for, private schools. So I choose to take my profit and put it into my Roth IRA, and that makes me really happy. I don't have a dinner out and a celebration like him. I feel like I'm making up lost time.
All right, there you go. There's your $300 drawing right there.
So I think probably one of my biggest takeaways from this book is to compartmentalize the different funding you need for your business. Like so much goes to taxes, so much goes to profit, so much goes to, and he suggests opening a separate bank account for each one of those.
Correct.
I'm like, nah, I ain't gonna do that. But he made the point, and I understand it. And my shortfall is putting backing up for taxes.
Well, so many people decide that they would borrow from the taxes that they need to save, and he that was one of the end of the book, the last chapter, where he talks about things to avoid, because that one comes with penalties and
Right.
and everything else that you're. That's why he suggests the offsite bank, the two accounts.
But Todd, I agree with Todd. I keep all of mine in the same bank because I have self control. I've never borrowed from those accounts. It actually gives me peace of mind and helps my security gland to stop pumping when I see that money sitting there, and I know that come April I'm going to be set. And yeah, it's a lot like Dave Ramsey's envelope system. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think I made the comment, was I don't know if it's there last night, but it really is like it's like he's taken Dave Ramsey's concepts and then applied them to a entrepreneurial business setup is what he's done, and really made it easy for most people to understand as you go through the book. Once you set these things up, it did get a little complicated when he talked about all the different scenarios and different accounts and stuff. I'm like, yeah, that's way over my head. Um, Harlan, I don't know who Dave Ramsey is. I will show everybody again the picture of you with the porn stash in that book, but yeah, y'all can look that up, Harlan and the porn stash. Um, so Tom said something about YouTube. So all my S corp covers everything, and so um, it will just. And I also had the other idea is as things come in, especially because YouTube pays at the end of the month. I have a few whatever the links and stuff that I make money from as well. Everything pays such a different time, so instead of missing it, to as I get deposits, I would just allocate those out. So I'm gonna set I'm gonna do one bank too. I'm probably gonna move banks. Who is the bank drunk dude? I don't know. I don't know who you're talking about. Should all read Financial Peace. I will add it to the list, but it's right now I'm like at 18 books.
Nicole, we read the original book. Well, the second
book. So John, I wish John could be here, but he's buying the car. But he's done them both. He's read them both. So Nicole, have you read the e-commerce one? Is there a different?
Jakester's shaking his head yes as well.
Have you read them both, Jacob?
Oh no.
So Chassie says she read the e-commerce version first a few years ago. Very interesting, but I think it's a good start for people to really understand a lot of the concepts. And this is a very simplified version that most people can follow. It can also really, the benefits are tremendous if you can get in the habit of setting profit and taxes aside, because how many people struggle? I'd say it's well over 75% of resellers, tax time struggle, because you hear people talking about all the time, especially first time resellers. I mean, first year resellers really struggle with that, putting that money away. Nicole says hasn't read any yet, maybe, but I'm gonna go back and do the e-commerce one. I'll add it to my list of one of my books to go whatever. But yeah, Scott, check if you want to do Audible. Check Audible. I don't have a link for it or anything, but there are. If you check Audible coupons and deals, like the one I got was through the end of the year, it's like $5 a month for the first 4 months. So that includes 4 books. So most of the books are $18 to $20. So I thought that was a pretty good deal to start. And you could do 4 months and quit. You're not signing up for any length of time.
But I think you're hooked on listening to books, right?
I am. So I tried to listen. So last year, my idea was to listen to podcasts, and the problem with podcasts is the topics are so wide and so varied, and I need to choose things that are to help me learn the business aspect of running a business. And while podcasts are good, I find them way more on the entertainment side than the knowledge side.
Mm-hmm.
And they have to be, because if they don't have some form of entertainment, they're not going to keep their audience. Um, no, I'm definitely hooked. I'm definitely like I said, I'm gonna do another book Thursday, and that doesn't count the book for next month.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna set my goal probably 3 books a month. Just
Scott, I did want to mention because we had talked before, and you said you had someone to do all of your bookkeeping, but I do mine. And I was very concerned about all of the bookkeeping when it came to swapping all these monies between accounts. And thankfully, QuickBooks Online, it recognizes everything as transfers, and you just basically rubber stamp everything as transfers, and it's not a problem at all.
yeah, I didn't do it for January, but I'm pretty sure I'm gonna take back over my own accounting. Well, Joni's gonna take it over. She just left the chat, but we both have a background in accounting, so and she's run a credit union and done the payroll and everything. So I think we can take it over. It's just the fear factor of just doing it the first time.
Yeah.
And
You're
getting all
cutting that expense, huh?
it's a lot.
Yeah, I bet.
And when I first started and I was doing it, I was selling a lot, so it made sense, but it doesn't make sense anymore. So, but I really think the one thing that he really talks about is, and it really opened my eyes. First, he starts in with talking about really looking at your business and understanding what what drives the sales, what drives the and that got me off on another tangent. I'm like, why am I trying to reinvent the wheel when the part of this business that I like and I'm really good at, I have not done for the past year, and I wonder why I'm struggling. And so that's led me back to RA, and it's already reaping rewards just by picking up a few products. You forget how crazy people are and the amount of money they spend for discontinued products.
I know. God love them.
A lady today paid for female products. They cost $4. She paid 25 plus $26 for me to ship it today.
Whoa.
$52 for female products that they've been discontinued for 2 years, so you can't find them. They're hard to find. I just happened to find 80 this week. I've had another lady who bought 5 of them and expedited shipping. It was like $168 after tax that I paid $22 plus tax.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Congratulations.
And so that's kind of lit a fire back under me. Sometimes the solution is to get back to basics, to understand. And so he talks about that. Really examine your business and understand what makes you the money.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of us can. I like the fact that he talked about efficiency, because I have a tendency to talk about efficiency. You can see the tape machine right there. I talked about it a lot, and it was a big expense, but man, the efficiency. I think he uses the example of a knife company where he talks to a knife owner, and they're very proud of the older machines, but the quality is a little off. Sometimes they're sharp, sometimes they're not, and they only make so many. And then he visits another one that has invested in, and they are putting out 4, 5, 6 times as many knives, and every one is perfect, and with a lot less labor and a lot less effort because they invested in efficiency. So I like the fact that he does talk about efficiency and how do you eliminate some of your costs by being more efficient, eliminates some of the costs and expenses that you incur. Spends a lot of time talking about labor.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, since in that section, since most of us are single operators or maybe husband and wife or significant other, um, I don't know that. But the one part that I truly did like was when he talks about so many people ask, about an employee. When do you know to have an employee, and when do you know about maybe it's a VA, maybe it's a part time or whatever. How can you afford them? And I like the way that he uses the same system he's talking about in the book. Well, if you know this is what their salary is going to be, go ahead and start taking it out for a few months and see if you can afford it and what it's going to feel like. And
Mm-hmm.
then also when you hire that person, you've got a little bit of lead time up on their salary, so you're not cutting any corners and thinking, man, if they're not productive today when I hire them, I'm behind the eight ball. And then you put such unnecessary pressure on an employee. So, so you're talking to somebody who's tried all this, because I'm sitting here thinking, yeah, the reason he knows that is because he's done that.
Mm-hmm.
You just get
And
that
that,
feeling when you're listening. So there's so much. Yeah, Patricia talks about the labor time to resize boxes was something. So that's the other thing. When I was doing really well, the biggest and the things that I like, the biggest box I ever shipped anything in was a 1086. But now, and I've got VCRs. I've got a couple. I listed a couple guitars today. Those boxes. Um, Generally, I'll order them bigger boxes, but luckily these two guitars break at the neck, so they're easy to ship. But we don't think about. I wanted to improve my efficiency in shipping because I spend a lot of time shipping, and I'm gonna get back to using FBA. But I have a set of shelves here that I'm gonna put all the FBM on, so that if I'm not here, Johnny and Jacob can walk out and pull it right here, not have to go to the building, and I'll turn eBay to to dormant mode or whatever. Go away. I'll be back later mode. The FBM, which is will be the big driver, because there's so many products you find that that you can, before people figure it out, or if an influencer tells people about it, you need to sell. You need to sell before the supply increases. So I'll still be using FBM, but it's him talking about efficiency, and I'm like, man, I didn't used to use any of these big box. I used to use these little boxes because health and beauty and those kind of things fit in 864s a
mhm.
lot.
That's why, yeah, I have all these small ones. Well, I'm curious if anybody who's listening has questions, or if you had um, anything about the book that you disagreed with as well, because I pretty much swallowed it whole. I loved everything that he had to offer me.
I fell asleep like 12 times while reading, and I still didn't get to the end yet. But
It's
yeah,
an that's an old guy thing. I did the same thing until I decided I'm gonna listen to it.
Trina, I'm 68 years old. You got to forgive me, but all the principles are great. It's kind of like how I learned reselling. I got to pick and choose the best things from every YouTube that I watch. I feel like I can learn from anybody, anywhere, anytime,
Mhm,
but I'm not going to take everything you do and apply it to what I do.
mhm,
And his thoughts about separating out the tax money is the one place I need to really concentrate on.
mhm,
Now, I think
Uh,
that's important, even though he talks about it in the end about uh, you know caution you not to go against it. Because that's what the John's strength was going to be. Because I do agree with John to a certain extent that sometimes when opportunity for a reseller to use someone else's money to make a larger buy, um, but he does talk about a little bit of that in at the end of the book, and I need to re-listen to that because I wasn't 100% paying attention to how he was talking about funding larger purchases, like he was talking about for equipment and other things. and doing a lot of self funding. Uh, so I need a little help with that on the end just to see how, because I don't like credit debt, and I like cash funding flowing this business, and I need to listen to that part again because I want to. And I've spent a lot of that money down, and that was another answer as your sales are declining. Unfortunately, if you overdraw, it's your operating budget that's going down, whether you realize it or not. I don't think most of us realize that because we don't separate the accounts out because everything's all in one big checking account. And so I'm really looking forward to. I'm gonna switch banks, and then because I found one that has because he talks about you need to get the right bank because you don't want to pay fees on some of the zero accounts.
Right.
And so I found that today. So
well, good. Todd, I think
so
if you
Jeanette Randall, that's a great question. She says,
mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Oh, Todd, if you had listened to the book, you wouldn't have fallen asleep because he's very entertaining and he's throwing in jokes and cracking jokes all the way through. But if you have the book, then you'll get through it eventually. Go ahead, Scott.
Yeah, I returned mine actually to Amazon because it was for them. So Jeanette has a question. She asks if you're starting out with business debt. So what are you going to do? Is he talks about how to attack debt. So he wants you to use 90% of your profits each month or each quarter to pay, like the Dave Ramsey system. Take the smallest debt and put it all at the smallest debt. It's the debt snowball. If you've ever heard of Dave Ramsey, and then once you finish, if you've got multiple, once you finish one, and then take the money you were doing the other, plus continue with the same one to attack the second, the third, or whatever, till you knock it all out. So it's not the end of the world, and I do have a small amount of business debt because that's also one thing you incur when you or sales are slower, and so that's exactly what I have one card, so that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna use all my profits for the first half of the year to pay that off. So Chastity says she went against the book for equipment, used profit to buy a paper tape machine.
No, I think that's fine.
I do too. I think too is if don't forget to reward yourself. I agree with her on that. If it's a nice dinner and then hey, I'm gonna buy a tape machine with the rest of it. I don't see that's too terribly. As long as you don't lose sight of the fact that that's above and beyond, and you still need to do something. I don't know about throwing a party. He talks about throwing a party and all this crazy. He even mentions that over and over about throwing a party or whatever. But I think we need to take time to stop and understand that hey, that is a benefit, and the business is successful, and this is extra, and make some portion of it, definitely a good portion of it, fund money. Mm-hmm. See, I'm old, and I my fund money is going to be hey, we're putting extra money towards retirement because I've been terrible about that through my entire life, and so that's another thing that really excited me was when he talks about that kind of investing, and I'm like, I've never, as I've been doing this, I've always spent everything on the next whatever and never separated the inventory budget and everything. It's just everything I had extra, and so I never considered retirement or anything else. I guess I'm just gonna do this till I'm 90. But and so I'm excited to incorporate some of those and just do what I know to do is, if I'm running, if I can run this at 100%, I can get used to running at 80% and taking the 20% for taxes, profit, retirement. James says it's more fun to stack bid, whatever gets your rocks off there, James. But I did like that too about what he said was he really leaves. He doesn't tell you how to celebrate. He doesn't tell you, he leaves he gives a lot of suggestions on like 401k or what to do with some of the money, but he leaves that open to because needs are so different. It depends on what stage of life you're in and all these things. Everybody's and what type of business, if you're part time, full time, your needs and what you need out of the business can be completely different. But the basics will all be the same. Is the five accounts and the percentages. I think the percentages is really going to change my life because it's going to allow me to really see the business by looking at the five accounts instead of one big account and wondering. And me sitting here thinking, can I? I'm going to Mississippi on Thursday. How much am I going to have to spend? I'm sitting there trying to figure it out. And it would be nice to just look at the accounts and go, well, that's pretty easy. I've got that account has got this much. I know what I can do.
Right. That's it.
So I'm looking. I won't have that for this trip, but I will for the next one, which would be very nice. All right. What other questions can we answer, or anybody have any other ideas about how you're going to implement this? That was this book worth it? I don't know how many people are watching. 69.
So Trina, do you do like the book and have a separate bank account or checking account for each of the different categories like he suggests?
Yes, I do. And I have it for both businesses. So at Bryant Bank in Alabama, if you're over 50, you get free checking. So I walked in the day that I was ready to do this and opened 10 checking accounts.
We have one here, so I'm probably going to use that one too.
Yeah. So 5 are for my 5 accounts for the reselling and 5 for the flower farm. And it is also that structure. I think about now, how would I have run 2 businesses not having the structure in place? So it's been great. I love it.
Yeah, so Jeanette asked, will I have an inventory account? I will. So I have the income that everything pays into. Then I'll have an expense. I might add one for inventory, and then I'll have the tax and profit.
Yeah.
So I should have 6. Harlan, was that for me or Trina? I'm only 49. Everybody can't be over 50 like you, Harlan.
I'd already admitted his age. So.
Yeah, I think that was for you, Trina. I don't think that was. He knows how old I am.
Yeah, Harlan, I'm 51.
Because everybody, we'll be doing something, and Harlan we'll be at a yard sale. Something the age will come up, and Harlan will tell him he's out, and they'll go, "Oh, there's no way." And I'll look and I go, "Why do I hang out with such old people?" He'll go, "Yeah, you're older than me. Shut up." That happens like 3 or 4 times each of the yard sale seasons.
Dang, Trina, you look like you're 30.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah, I wouldn't have put you in the over 50 game.
I do have on my dad's side, all of the women look really young, and it looks like I might have inherited that trait. So that's good.
Yeah, Johnny doesn't look like she's over 50 either.
I inherited the trait of looking old as hell.
Patricia says she likes having the buckets in one checking account and just moving funds from deposit into various buckets. Yeah, it's and really, he started talking about it. I'm like, yeah, I don't look at my check account balance every day. I know unless I'm going to do something, but it's going to be very nice to take a lot of the guesswork out and look at it and go, all right. And also the one thing I really think that would be a benefit to is having the inventory account where I put all the money in they'll be available to spend for inventory. Is I want to make sure that I spend that between each of the payouts, because the way that I see maximum return on reselling is if you don't spend the money on inventory, the inventory won't turn. And so, if I've got money just sitting there that I should be spending, it will encourage you have to be, it's a double-edged sword. You have to be careful that you have rules in place in your buying. So I've talked about that a lot. So they meet your standards. Don't lower your standards just to spend money, because that's like going to a thrift store and going, man, there's got to be something in here, and just buying something to be buying something. But you can be more efficient if you follow your rules in place and spend everything available in that budget. Because too many times I have cut us short, and I'll have to tell Johnny, hey, wait a minute, I screwed up. Pay that in 3 days, not today. to wait for the next deposit on whatever it is coming in, because I have guessed wrong, or and so it'll take a lot of that out, which will be, I know Johnny's gonna be. I haven't really told her about that part of it, but she'll be thrilled that yeah, the shorting and the craziness will be removed, because
I definitely agree with your operating account helping you drive your business, because for me, if sales start slowing down, but I'm still going outsourcing and that OpEx account starts dwindling, that's my cue to get in here and start listing some stuff that I've been sitting on for 8 months. So
right.
when that starts dwindling, it lights a fire under me to list the stuff I have to get it built back up.
And I think you can use that like too as a trigger as well. To when that OpEx goes down, that's not a time to stop. That's a time to, like you say, list what you got. Go to. I know everybody calls it a death pile. I just call it backstock, because I don't. It's not truly dead. The stuff that I buy, there's 3 video cameras laying over there to be listed tonight. That's not death pile. That's just video cameras I haven't listed yet.
I agree.
They don't go down in value. They get harder to find. If you know what you're buying, it's just inventory.
Mm-hmm.
So what does Gary say? The hand doesn't look a day over 30.
I agree.
I don't know, if you look close, you can see the wrinkles.
So, when your business is doing pretty good and you're satisfied, what do you do with a little bit of extra money then?
Say that one more time.
If you're doing pretty good, like 2023, I did 15% more
See, the one
than
thing
I ever have. So what do you do with that 15%?
it's going to be in your
Little bit extra.
it'll be in your various accounts. So that's what I like about using percentages, because he talks about that if you have a better than average or worse than average, the percentages are still going to allocate the money the same, whether you did wonderful or did bad. And so it would just mean your profit. He would also tell you that if with leftover money, he would tell you, Todd, to slowly move the profit number percentage up, so you have more in the profit account.
Mm-hmm.
To level out, because if you're doing better, and so he would tell you to allocate more towards profit over a quarter of the time, because you don't want to jump up real fast, because then you want to take it back because you screwed up. He said it's much better to go very smooth and a steady pace. So I would tell you, as you see that you're doing well, you would to level out your other accounts, you would up the profit number. And so that way your other accounts will be the same, and you would still be operating the same, but the reward would be left in the profit for you to invest or do whatever you want to do with it.
Yep.
See, my tendency would be to start booking another cruise to Alaska like we did in
Well, that's fine.
September.
That's your reward. That's your reward in profit. So,
Yep.
how do you know how much money you have in the business without hurting the business to take the cruise? That's if you've got it in the buckets, it's very easy to see. Well, it's also very easy for Gwen to see. Hey, look, look, Todd, you're taking me here.
No.
We're just not giving Joni any of the passwords. Actually, in case something happens, she's my accountant. She's gonna be the accountant, so I guess that's a bad idea. Yeah, Harlan said you stack it. It's just you change, you adjust the percentages and continue on. and he says that you don't adjust down because if it's some slow months, he would tell you to use the rainy day fund as half of the profit account, half of the profit whole account, and so you would be able to take money from there to sustain you in order to things straighten out. So y'all were worried I didn't read this book. I listened to this book.
It's really smart because even in your profit account, you have a built-in savings account.
Right.
I just take yeah.
I think a lot of people can benefit from this book and read or listen or whichever you prefer, because it's a part of the business of reselling that nobody talks about. Nobody. And it's
Trina,
the one that everybody
sorry.
needs. Yes.
It sounds like Trina has gone for this book hook, line, and sinker, and applies every principle.
She does most.
Whereas I'm more of a pick the things that work good for me and apply them. But you're all in on this, right, Trina?
As far as the allocations, yes. The two rules I break, like I told you, is I take distributions quicker than the 10th and the 25th sometimes. And then I purposefully went opposite of what he recommends as far as cap and tap with the startup because I really needed to on that front. But starting this next year, we're at 5% profit on both. I ramped up from the 1 all the way up to the 5. And my fingers are crossed that I'll be able to hopefully only do, 2 payments out to myself a month this next year, but we'll see.
Do you have employees, Trina?
I've been doing it for way over a year. It's been probably 15, 16 months I've been doing it.
Are you the only employee?
Yes.
You're it.
I'm it.
So I think most people don't realize that because it's an accounting term for profit, you don't realize profit dollars. And everybody assumes that profit is the same as owner's comp, and they're not the same.
Right.
Because the reason I ask is because it feels like so much of the book was directed at people who make a whole lot more money than I do or have much larger businesses than I do. I mean,
I agree with you.
Even though I'm up for 2023, wow. I mean, he was talking about people that have a business that grosses $20 million, and I'm like, holy crap, that's not me.
Right.
But he also, when he talks about employees and expenses and everything, he talks about businesses that are, up to, where it should be the one employee, when you should add one, and what those dollars look like. And so, that was him from really helped me to him explaining that this works for any size business is the way I took that. Hey, Josh, what's up, man?
Yeah, absolutely.
Josh.
So the core principles as far as the 5 accounts and allocating and running lean, that's what I've implemented. I mean, my startup with the flower farm, my goal was 10,000 in sales. I ended up with just over 14,000. And it was because of Profit First, I actually changed my business model in the middle of the year. I had one target audience and they weren't buying and I didn't know why. And I ended up having to do farmers market, which is something I never wanted to do. But you know what I want? I wanted to make some money. So I ended up going and actually, making about 40% of my sales this year was at farmers markets. And I don't know that I would have probably done that had I not read that book and had his voice in the back of my mind talking about how you just got to get after it. You got to get after it. You got to be hungry. You got to get it.
That's like Josh Galt in the side chat there. He said, I would go out on the street corner, if it took it to get there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't. I think the principles are the same, Todd. Like a couple people are saying, it doesn't matter the size, because to truly understand how successful your business is, and if it's you're meeting your goals. And I mean, you're retired or we're retirement, and you're stacking enough silver and gold to fund Fort Knox. So maybe you're not the target audience because you call yourself playing at reselling.
That
But
much.
but most people, whether you're a part time, full time, whatever, it will truly help you to understand where the money is in your business, because that's the weakness of the GAC, the general accounting principles and stuff, is you're looking at completely different. Profit and loss does not truly mean profit like I think profit means. It just That's an accounting function, and he really hammers home over and over. It's it's Are you in this to make profits? Are you in this to cover expenses? If it's because regular accounting is so much about expenses, expenses, expenses. And his way of thinking about your business is profit first, because why do this if you're not going to make it's not good enough just to make your salary. Your salary is not profit. It's not above and beyond. It's not your business taking care of you so that you can do the stuff that you love in your business. So it's a completely different way of thinking about the way money funds and the way your business operates. So Josh
It's
says the only difference between $1 million business and $1,000 business is time in the game. If you apply the same principles, I do agree with that.
Mhm.
it's hard for me to know business principles because I was a teacher. I'm a retired teacher.
Me too.
I don't know
Me
anything
too.
business. What do I need to know? What do I know about? I don't know anything about business. What did you teach, Trina?
High school science.
Oh,
See, Todd
God
wasn't a real
bless you.
teacher. He
You're one
taught
of
he
the
taught
smart
band.
ones.
He taught band. He wasn't a real teacher.
No.
But I needed this to work, these two businesses to work, so I didn't have to go back to the classroom because everything changed after COVID.
How
I
many
love
years did you
teaching,
put in?
22,
Oh,
and I just didn't.
you didn't reach full retirement then, did you?
I always taught at private schools. There was no retirement.
Oh, okay.
So that's also why I had to have a side hustle, because I made diddly squat,
Yeah.
but I loved it. And I just decided to sell on the side to be able to afford to teach. And after COVID, the year after COVID, that last year, it just took my soul. Just everything
Mm,
changed. And as a breast cancer survivor, I know the value of a day, and I felt like I was wasting my time up there at the board, and life's too short. And I said, I
mhm.
just want to go home and grow things and make money. So
Yeah, I
I had
guess Joe. She didn't tell me that. I thought she said her scans were today. I guess if everything was not good, she would have said something. She gets. I think she still gets every 6 months because she's still nervous about going longer, even though she's 5 years now. Uh,
right.
and her doctor's like, "Well, we'll do this as long as you want to." That's an amazing man. I have a lot of respect for him. McGee, he's
So what kind of
he's one of the good
flowers
ones.
do
But
you grow, Trina?
no, it.
Yeah, specialty cut flowers. So everything from sunflowers to lisianthus, zinnias. I mean, you name it, probably I grow it.
Do you grow willows?
If you do twigs working out the band,
You don't
No,
grow
I,
willows?
Jacob already has them working on the twigs.
no willows. I don't have the space, the permanent space. Uh, I could make a killing with peonies, but I don't have the space for them. They're
Mm.
permanent. I'm going to plant about 1,000 dahlias this year, and that's going to be my cash cow this year.
So do you have machinery to do that? Is that
No,
part? No? You
I
get
mean,
down on your hands and knees and plant every one of those suckers.
well, pretty much, yeah.
Oh
I
God.
mean, we do have a little, like a PVC tube, so I can poke a hole in
Yeah,
the ground and then, send it down
you
the
are
chute.
way younger than I am.
Um, it 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 gets hard sometimes, but once they're in the ground, that's the hardest part.
That's actual labor.
Mhm. Yeah.
But I mean, actual labor pays good money.
I'm not afraid of hard work.
I am.
I may
I,
say that at 68 too, dear.
I went out and picked up some. I mean, my trees had a pretty good year of pecans,
Hmm.
and I've been going out and picking them up. Man, it gets hard reaching over and picking pecans up off the ground.
All right, so one of the key ideas that I had written down too, I have notes on the side screen over here, and I think it's something that every entrepreneur, every reseller needs to hear, that financial freedom uh, is achievable for entrepreneurs who take control of their finances. We
Hmm.
are we are such victims. You hear so many people who are victims of they can't do this, they can't do that, and most of it is because they don't understand anything about the finance part of running a business. Not only do that, they don't realize they're running a business. They're just they are convinced, like the people who tell them, "Oh, just list stuff on eBay." Uh,
And some
and
people do just list stuff on eBay, but I wouldn't say they have a reselling business.
right now, most the people who take this serious, who are wanting a serious side hustle, or do this full time, or have aspirations to do this full time, I think you know when people ask me, when should I go full time, and I've always thought about it as a sales number, as a the answer, the typical one is, make sure you got so much of your in savings so that you can, because you're not going to get a steady check anymore if you leave your. Nobody ever mentions how well do you understand the financial part of running this business. That's never that's it's like taboo. It's like asking somebody whether they make an hour or whatever. What is their salary? It's one of those questions that it's almost like it feels guilty to ask someone, do you understand the business part? And so, you know, I think I'm gonna start suggesting this book. When somebody asks me that question from now on, I would be much quicker to say, do you understand what it takes to run the financial aspect of your business, other than just the answer is not how many listings you list a day, or what dollar amount you list a day, or what your sales are, or what your sales target are. It's, do you understand, you know, how to take care of the business and how cash flows through your business, because that is way more important than knowing what to go buy. Because if the buying will always be there, but if you don't understand, how to track your cash flow, and because cash flow is one of the biggest killers of any business, is cash flow and poor cash flow management. So I think this is a very simple, easy to recommend, something that most people can go through and understand fairly easily.
I agree.
So I got a little question. What percentage of resellers or small business entrepreneurs come from a business background as opposed to not a business background? Like Trina came from teaching, I came from teaching, Jake came from Amish, Beard came from McDonald's.
Yeah, he came right out of the fields. They
Yeah.
kicked him out. They kicked him out of the buggy and said, "Dude, make it on your own." And he went right to reselling.
So I just, I mean, Beard, quit making me laugh. Choking me up. What percentage? I mean,
Josh says less than one.
less than 1%
That's his guess.
come to
But but but
come
even
to a
even
business.
but even this, Todd, is the question is not how many come from a biggest background, is how many people have a small business, or their own business. Because I ran restaurants for years. I could tell you anything about food costs, about labor, about the expenses I can control, but I didn't have any control over advertising, or my the food cost control I had was helping people to, do you want fries to go, or do you want to make it a combo, to upsell on an average check, and to
Mhm.
control waste, and and to control theft and those kind of things. But even then, I didn't control the buying. So even though I had spent a lot of time in business, I am very foreign to the fact that of the cash flow of my own business.
But the little college I went to in Texas, I bet 10% of the graduates were graduating with a business degree. And Josh is saying only 1% are doing kind of like a business
Yeah, I would bet
now.
very, I would bet very few people. He's given examples of where people that he follows have used their start in eBay to fund that to other businesses.
Okay.
Um, but that they are for sure the exception.
So it's not necessary to know about business before you go do it.
No, but in order to keep doing it and doing it over the long term, a lot of people have become self-taught and kind of muddle their way through it, like I've done. I would not say I've screwed up every way you can screw up, and it's a wonder I'm still here. But I'm looking forward to in the next by February 1st to have this fully implemented and to be able to look at the 5 accounts and go, this makes way more sense.
That's
Even though
exactly right, Tommy. It's like a whole new world. And I still can't believe after 8 years of doing it that I can make money selling crap. It's unbelievable. Since the first day I started, I'm making more money than I did walking the floors at Home Depot at a part-time job. I can't believe that. That is just crazy that I can do that.
now
And
you give yourself you don't give yourself enough credit. You do a lot of things right, and the, maybe you're because there's not the financial pressure is not on you, so you're freer to make this different decisions. I would say you're the exception than the rule. Most
yeah.
people most
Well,
people are doing this to for a certain and that's another thing. If you don't understand the businesses and the way money flows, and even if you're doing this just to make extra money, how do you know how much of that's extra versus how much of that without tracking it and understanding the difference between profit and expenses and owner's comp and what each one of these dollars really represents as it flows through your business? How do you know whether you're hurting yourself by taking too much money because you don't know which account it really what it should represent? So
anyway, I got to be pulling out more for taxes because I paid a bunch this year that I didn't have paid on the quarterly. I got to start paying quarterly like
but
like
he
my
suggests
accountant says.
he
Mhm.
suggests the 15% because of the way.
Yeah, that's almost exactly how much I pay in taxes.
Mhm.
On my teacher retirement and the income from reselling combined, it's almost exactly 15%. He was spot on with his 15% category.
Josh, I agree with that. That's a good statement. So Josh says that his opinion is that people who act logically, apply business principles, will do better than those who react emotionally without regard for numbers.
Oh yeah.
Uh, those people who react emotionally and stuff can sometimes be right, but if you're logically and grounded in the numbers and solid business principles, um, it's much easier. I mean, Josh, I said I wasn't going to mention this, but you've been banging your head up against the wall now for how many months trying to talk to these people about why you promote and you've still got a core group of people who are not bright enough to understand that advertising does work. For the most part. Is it perfect on eBay? No, it's not perfect. It's not perfect on Amazon, but it's doing to take a logical approach and understand how platforms work and where they're going instead of just acting with just absolute crazy emotion because I'm not giving them another dime. And then in the next sentence going, I don't understand why I don't have any sales. It's just fascinating. But that's the one nice thing, Josh, that about Amazon is for the most part, you will find people that act a little bit that way, but it's a different level of thinking with an Amazon seller versus an eBay seller,
Mhm.
and you run into people who ask dumb questions, but they ask them from a different position than a dumb question on eBay. It's
Exactly.
it's not it's so on eBay, it comes to me as that they're acting out of ignorance because they just don't have a clue, but it's with an Amazon, a new Amazon seller, it's a more to like a complete desire to understand, and and because if you start Amazon, you understand that if you don't follow the rules, you're out, and so there's a different level expectation of performance. So I don't know if I explained that right, but I tried. Yeah, Tom, that is a age thing. Once you make, I think once you make it to Todd's age, you can make whatever you want to, right, Todd?
Uh, no, they actually cut my Social Security payment because I make too much money.
Right. Once you make, can you? Isn't there a certain age that you can make all you want and it doesn't matter? Does that ever happen?
Not to me, but anyway, that's a whole
And then,
nother can of worms. Do we want to get into that? I could gripe and complain.
mm, all right, Josh. I tried. It's and that's probably too, Josh, why my channel has stayed flat for a long time is because I don't do a good job of catering to people who ask dumb questions because it's a you get a feel of how why somebody's asking something. I don't mind answering the same question over and over. It's never that point. Um, it's the so much of this stuff can be figured out by just a simple search of the rules. Those are the things that bother me the most is when people you tell me that you want to be successful at this business, but don't have enough common courtesy to understand the rules of the game before you start, and then won't even take the time to look it up, but you'll impose on somebody else to take their time to ask them a dumb question. That's why I don't do Facebook reselling groups. I'm in none. And I understand that, like you were talking today in your show, that but if you're doing YouTube, there are different ways to upscale income, and one of those is Facebook and Facebook groups and all those things. And I'm like, yeah, I don't have the patience. And Martha says there's a limit on how much you know for Social Security. Yes. Michigan girl says she thinks it might be 70 is the age. Todd, when you get to 70, let us know.
I'm a year and 9 months. No, a year and 11 months.
Tracy, you didn't show up tonight. You've been kicked out of the Wings group. I took a vote and I voted to kick you out. Nobody else did. So it's terrible.
But Tommy asked a good question. What's the cap on how much I can earn in retirement? I ain't got no cap. The only cap is what I put on myself. If, if I wanted to deal in Rolex watches, I could. I got some money in savings. I could go out and buy some Rolex watches and sell them, and probably do a whole lot better than I'm doing reselling elephants
It's
on
Tommy.
eBay.
It's because they don't understand that it is a business. They don't treat it like a business. They don't. It's they they see the flipping part of it, but they don't realize that they are actually running. I mean, it's as simple as the ones that will talk about when they start talking about taxes. Oh, well, it's a good thing I didn't make that because I didn't want to. How much am I supposed to pay on taxes? I mean, it's the simple stuff that that any business owner immediately knows. And I was just kidding too, Tracy. By the way, I'm glad you spent some time with your kid. Only turns 21 once, so that's pretty cool. Yeah, it's Harlan says if you wait to draw Social Security at the maximum age, then you can make whatever.
Oh.
Yeah,
That'll
that
probably
number, according to Google, that number is currently set at 72, but it's whatever they call the quote unquote full retirement age, which is not your initial retirement age, but the full retirement age, end quote. That says there's no limit on how much you can earn and still receive your benefits.
Josh, a lot of people do think that you make a ton of money from YouTube content, and I have in the past, but that was never my focus. I consciously decided I would rather resell than
I
be
made
a.
$157 in 2023 on YouTube.
Oh my god! And the government reduced your Social Security by $157
a month.
But yeah, this book. So the list of benefits were reduce financial stress and uncertainty, increase profitability and efficiency, improve clarity and focus on business goals, and greater control over your personal finance and financial freedom. I don't know anybody who doesn't need all of those things. This is really a great start for. I've never been one into reading a lot of business books, but this has launched my new. I'm gonna be like Josh. I'm gonna have a whole. Well, I'm gonna have a whole phone full of books. I'm not gonna have them on my nightstand because Josh, once you get old like me and Todd, if you try to sit down and read a book, you fall asleep. I fell asleep twice or three times, and I'm like, "What am I doing? I need to be listening to this."
What's the name of next month's book again?
Don't never split the difference. Chris Voss.
Okay, thanks.
Oh, that's the next one?
Yeah.
I got to write this down.
It's on the website, beardypicker.com, underneath books.
Oh. I should visit there once every 6 months.
Or the book is the Bible. We are going over the Bible tonight. So it's Profit First. So Josh says that's also a great book. So I'm excited. He said that he looked at my list of books so far and he's done them all. So that was when somebody mentioned that one, Josh. I'm very weak in that kind of stuff. I mean, terrible at negotiating. So bad that even after going with yard sales of Harlan for like the last 3 or whatever years it's been, he still has to tell me, "Oh, you can get that for lower. You can do this." I'm like, I usually just pay and don't even mess with it. So I'm really excited about that one. Better Barbie. So she says thanks for starting this book club. So I did it for selfish reasons. I really wanted, and Harlan says LOL, but he knows it's true. I'm the world's worst because I'll ask him about something. I'm like, what do you think about this for the auction? He said, how much is it? I'm like, he go, it'd be better if you go tell him you want it for $3. I'm like, and I come back and go, what'd you pay for it? I'm like, $3. They teach you to negotiate as if your life depends on it. Very nice. And anytime we're doing this, if anybody has suggestion of books that they've heard about, want to read, or especially Josh, if any of them that you think really, give me the suggestions. I'll put them on the list. Because I changed my own goal, Josh. I'm gonna do my best to become you in my older life. So I'm gonna try to do 3 books a month now. Listen to 3 books a month. So I've already got like 18 of them. The Dryas book is Dale Carnegie. It's on the list. But I'm gonna try to do 3 books a month this year. Listen to like I'm gonna listen to a new one Thursday while I'm out and about chasing down wonderful stuff in the great state of Mississippi. I know, right, Josh? That's terrible. So, anybody got any other questions? Tell me. I think this helps really talking this through like this. Really, so, because I know I'm lead some conversation or have to answer questions, and it's making me listen with a little more intent. Um, I think I retained pretty decent knowledge on this book. I've only listened to it once. I want to listen to it again.
I would listen to it again after you've implemented it for a few months.
Okay, that's a great idea. I was worried about that, Tommy. I think you had mentioned it earlier too about retaining it with audio. I can tell you, I can retain it a lot more than falling asleep reading it 3 times. What would you all rate the book out of 10?
Based on what?
Yeah. So what book is a true 10? This is the first one I've read in quite a while. So,
well, for a nonfiction book, that's really hard. But as far as being able to understand the concepts and then put them into practice, I would say 9.7 for me.
For ease of understanding and ease of implementation, I would agree. It's high up there. It's not like one of the crazy ones they drove me nuts with when I was in management. They wanted me to read "Who Moved Your Cheese." Oh my god, that's the craziest damn book.
That was the dumbest book. Well, maybe not, but it's close.
I kept thinking, who cut the cheese? I don't care about who moved it. Dang, that's a more important question. So John said he bought the book. He listened to the audio, but bought the book so you can get track. I do like the fact that that he also, even with the audiobook, because he did the audiobook and he understood that there are charts in the book that he refers to, and also forms that to fill out to do it. It's a simple download from his website, and you've got the same criteria. So I think it's presented well as an audiobook. Mm-hmm. Alan Taylor, what's up, man? All right, Alan, you should have read the book. Stop messing around.
So, Jake, did you read the book?
I got about halfway through it so far.
Yeah, me too.
Only gave y'all a month's notice now. Come on, guys. What the hell?
What do you think, Jake? Is it do you just do these things naturally, or I think every principle in the book that I've read so far, a lot of people just do it anyway before even reading the book. They just been doing that.
I would agree with part, but disagree with part. I don't think there's anybody out there who, whenever they get a distribution of whatever type, they immediately set aside profit. I don't think nobody's taught to do that. I don't think anybody does that.
I agree.
I agree with that statement as well. I will say that in my real estate business versus my reselling business, very different, and not really sure why. And I never really thought about it that way until I read this book, or started reading this. That I run the 2 different businesses very different. Of course, one is an INC, so it's a incorporated business with a little different structures and things. But my reseller business is a sole proprietorship. So from that perspective, I do run them a bit different. I think I run the real estate business a lot more along the lines of these principles. I don't have the different accounts set up the same way, although I do have four different accounts. Just don't have them organized the way this book talks about them exactly. I mean, I do a little. So I have an account that holds long-term liabilities, and one that's for future investment, and an operating account, and then a miscellaneous account that kind of holds money. And I probably need to do a better job at that one, but so I guess it came a little bit more naturally in the real estate business, because I'm also handling, probably 3 more zeros at the end than my reselling business.
Yeah, I've got 3 accounts. I've got the one that's Gwen's teacher retirement check, and one that's my teacher retirement check, and then the third one is like the eBay stuff,
Mm-hmm.
the business stuff.
Yeah.
And
So
that's all I've got. I
on
don't
my
have the.
reselling business, I have only one account, and I mean I don't, but I also don't depend on my reselling business necessarily to I don't know, keep me alive or whatever. So it's a little different there in that it, not that it doesn't matter, but it's not so it's critical, I guess.
See, one of
So
the things I would, Todd, one of the things I would challenge you is to, as you see, if you did some of these key principles in the book, you would see the excess money and figure out what the, an accountant would tell you, you would need to, if you would reinvest, you can either give that to the government or you can have, why do you not have a tape machine like I have? You could reinvest into equipment and other things and take tax savings versus paying to the government. I think just because you have dollars in sales, you have to go over an amount of dollars earned, and you could increase the quality of your business and efficiency without paying Mr. Biden his share. But you would only know that is ahead of time is if you track this and we're in a position to to ask someone, hey, I've got this much. What was I have an excess of $22,000. What can I do to decrease my tax liability and by putting this into business? Somebody could tell you very quickly if you had the numbers set aside like this.
uh,
Lease yourself a brand new truck instead of paying the IRS.
Oh. Dave Ramsey would say no to that.
But that's
my
what the
truck was paid for when I bought it.
yeah, I would think that was one of the benefits for you, Todd. Is I would challenge you to, as you continue, because you're getting better every year. You get better and better. You sell more and more, and your opportunities. I would at some point you got to realize you're working for the government, and to work smarter.
It's a little
Yeah,
bit
but
like if you ever look at how much you pay in taxes on the year, um, then you figure out how long it took you through the year to get you there. Yeah, good luck on that
t-
one, and how depressing that is. If you know how long it takes you to work a third of the year, April, May,
No,
June, before you ever start making any money for yourself. You're just working to pay the government.
Tommy,
I
if
think
I
it's
put every penny I made back into inventory, I would be. I'm buried now, and I can't imagine. I would have to have a storage building the size of what Josh Galt has.
I think it's May Day. I think it's in May. The average person works until May to pay taxes. I think.
Shoot, I work until January 9th to pay my taxes. Oh, wait, that's today. No, I pay more than that. I'm guilty of
So it
taking
says
the excess profit and sinking it into more life savings.
Tax Freedom Day is average working of 100 the 105th working day.
Wow, that's too
In,
much.
in 2011, it was on April 12th. I'm sure it's not April 12th anymore. It's now April 18th. As of last year, no, that's tax.
Oh, it is, but it is in most cases at least tax day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, it was the 12th, and I don't know what day it is now.
my taxes, if it was just eBay income, it would take half a year or more because I paid a lot of tax last year.
So Tommy says Dave Ramsey has advice for Johnny Homeowner, but his advice for building business wealth is terrible. Horrible. Yeah, but there's they're talking about buying inventory, but you can do other things that are. I think as long as the vehicle weighs above 6,000 pounds, I think it's dollar to dollar deductible.
Yeah, Tommy's right, but the vast majority of people still work for the man. And yeah, Dave Ramsey is good for the working soul out there, I think.
I think he's very smart about helping people get out of debt, and that's the one thing, and most people, that's where they need help because they don't realize they're underwater until it's getting too late.
And then they don't know how to get out of it.
Correct.
My
gold coins are tax deductible inventory.
My sister lives near his campus.
Oh wow. Yeah, Josh threw out those gold coins are tax deductible inventory if you sell them. Well, I mean,
you might sell them.
Yeah, that's.
And so I think we're talking about that. I think that's on purpose. That's why I think a lot of people need to read these books because we're not, the powers that be don't want us to start businesses, don't want us to understand financial freedom and financial and how things work in running a business. So I think they're happy with us looking at profit and losses the regular accounting way and not understanding versus because if people did profit first and would start a small business and immediately started taking care of themselves immediately and understand and made that side, can you imagine how much more successful businesses would be if they were set up right to begin with by people who understand where their money is, how it's going, and that it's built to take care of you first? There'd be a lot less businesses that fail, I would think.
Yeah, I agree with Josh as well in his statement that most people don't understand the difference between an asset and a liability. A lot of people look at, for example, their house as an investment. Really, it's not. It's a liability for the most part. Now, I'm not saying they don't store the majority of their life savings into the house. I'm not saying that at all. And I'm not saying they don't get money back out. But from a business perspective, a house is a severe liability. Not to say that you shouldn't buy a house. Just it is not an asset. It is not an income producing thing.
Unless you just buy it, fix it up, and move out. Buy it, fix it up, and move out. There's a business plan.
Sure, yeah. I mean, yeah, that's the exception. Yeah, there's certainly the exception to it.
The man, the myth, the legend.
Choose on Valentine's Day chocolate.
John.
Beautiful.
Glad to see you alive and not too bumped up.
Now,
Yeah.
for the taste.
Did you buy a car?
Yeah.
Nice.
Another Fiat.
All right.
That's like Steve buying another Kia. What the hell?
This time we went all out. We got a convertible.
Ooh. Well, you deserve it after the work you've done.
We talked a lot about the principles of the book, John, and it can help a lot of resellers and especially business people that we learn we are so focused on learning how to resell and how to work on eBay and how to work Amazon and follow rules that nobody masters the business part of it. And if you don't do both, you're making this very hard. If you don't understand how cash go through and all the.
I agree. I mean, you know, more than the accounts, what you need more than anything else is the understanding of what those accounts are for, and how that money split up, and what it means. Too many times you sell something and you see it as profit, and you take that profit and you don't think about the expenses of the business. That's the biggest takeaway that I can tell people. Laura, you got to turn that TV down. That's probably blaring right through my microphone.
Yeah, because I saw there was a YouTuber, and he means well. And he's a nice guy, and he's a smart reseller. But the title of his video was, "I made $174,000 on eBay."
Okay, this
Uh,
one says
no, you sold $174,000 on eBay. Uh, you didn't make that much. And
Who was that?
I get it, YouTube titles and that kind of stuff, but there's so many people, they'll say I sold it for $30. I made $30. No, you didn't. It's and the one thing, John, this thing is really is you've learned this by the way you've set it up, and you've set out to build your company to take care of family. But how many entrepreneurs and people with these businesses take the profit and work and owner's compensation first and take care of themselves? Because if you don't pay yourself, and the answer is always, well, I can take a little less when time's getting lean, instead of making the right decision with money. I mean, we've all made that decision, and it's been because you've told plenty of stories about eating, you and Lori splitting Dollar Tree items. I remember these stories, but it's if people would learn the finances first, and because I kind of had a realization tonight when people ask me, what do I need to do to get started? I think learning business rules and how to run a business needs to be way up there on the list of. It's not good enough for just to learn that CD is worth $30 on eBay, $70 on Amazon. That's the easy
But
part.
how much did you pay for it?
Quarter.
Yeah. See, now they want to take the $50 minus the 25 cents and say they made $49.75. What they don't understand is all the operational cost of a business.
Yep.
And it's, you have to understand these things. I mean, listen, I understand why they have all the different accounts. I have a CFO that has it all in one account, that gives me a breakdown that this money's set aside for this and this is for that. And turn my volume off. My wife, she was watching TV and it was blaring into the mic.
Yeah, no, you took care of that. You're good.
But yeah, Lori, I use QuickBooks, and when I look at how much money I have, I look at the QuickBooks reports a lot more than I look at how much money is in the bank. And because I definitely don't have the accounts all set up the same way, especially for my real estate. If I want to know where I am, financially, I look at the reports, not how much money is in the bank.
And as you get bigger, all it does is, once you understand the money, as you get bigger, it's just zeros. It really is just zeros at the end. You just push out numbers bigger. But you have to, if you don't understand, and some of the things that I don't like is we talk about profit, and it's really not profit. It should be operational budget. You take your owner's profit, and then you have an operational budget. It's not retained profit. You shouldn't call it retained profits or anything like that. It is to operate your business. Gross profit has so many things that you have to use for it, and that's where people trip up. Is the other thing is when's the last time you checked your expenses?
Saturday.
How many software programs do you have? How many, how much is your, My
Saturday.
payroll.
I cut 2 Saturday. I checked that Saturday. I cut 2 of those Saturday. I'm cutting another one tomorrow.
Payroll is a huge expense. But there's not just payroll. You got payroll taxes, you got the payroll company itself. I use ADP. I know a lot of people use Gusto or whatever it is. That's great until you start getting into multi-state states and stuff like that. As most of you guys know, I don't think I've ever met Trina. As most of you guys know, I operate in like 7 different states. My income tax is 1.5 inches thick every year. It's a book. They bind it for me with a spiral bound book they send me every year for my income tax return. Because as I've grown, you have to declare income in other states, and people don't realize, because of Nexus with Amazon and the Wayfair rulings and all this, that you actually have to pay income in other states when you hit certain levels. And it gets pricey. My income tax return cost me probably $8,000 a year to file income tax. I pay $8,000 to the accountant.
Yeah, I can relate. Mine's not half thick, but because it's a corporation. I mean, it's still substantial compared to what it was when I was earning a W-2.
Sell that company for 10x revenue and start again. I would never sell. I've thought about it. I've hemmed and hawed about it. I said I was going to sell it. It runs itself now. I mean, listen, I was at the busiest week of the year. I was on a cruise with no internet.
See, Josh, he spent years forcing his way out, and he finally got to where he doesn't do that as much anymore. And is different reason. He built it to where he is because he wanted to take care of family.
Yep.
And the way it runs, it takes care of family.
But the big thing is taking your profit first, but then having enough left for operational. The one thing I could tell you is I've gotten bigger, and I've talked to Scott about this, and I've said it a few times, and people kind of don't. It kind of goes over a lot of people's head. Is you can't become really profitable in a business until you switch to an earning model and out of a growth model. And I'll use companies that everybody knows for an example. Tesla is a growth company. Every dollar they get in, they're rolling right back into research and development, new product, expansion, growth, whatever it is, they're growing. They show a loss every year because of growth. It's a cash eating company. They don't have retained profits stored away for something. But then you take a company like Coca-Cola, and they do very little research and development. They have a very small budget for advertising. It looks like a massive budget. But to Coca-Cola, it's a very small part of their profit is spent on advertising and marketing. They make a product, they sell the product, and they're able to keep the profit. They're able to retain the profit because they have already built their cash flow system. Too many times resellers go out and keep buying, and they think that's where the profit is. And it is where you make money, but you have to sell it. And I'm sorry I'm late, guys. I did not expect, when we started this, I did not expect to be in a car accident the day after New Year's.
Well, we did it last night, but our internet crashed, and so we had to reschedule.
I was driving last night back from Phoenix, trying to find a car that I can tow behind the RV, which is not an easy task.
So does the Fiat allow you to be flat towed?
Yeah. You remember the brown one?
Oh yeah, that's why I figured why you bought another one, because of the flat tow.
This is a white one with a black convertible top. And
not as fun
Harlan's right.
anymore.
This is not my Bentley, but I'll tell you what. I looked at a Bentley today, and I can afford it. But Dave Ramsey was whispering in my ear, "You don't need a car payment," and he's right. I wrote a check for the Fiat, and it's straight out of the Christmas money. I don't have the insurance check from the insurance company. I wrote it straight out of what I made on Amazon for Christmas.
It's not as much fun though. With you're now Small John to see Big John try to squeeze into the Fiat versus Small John.
Dude, I got like a foot between me and the steering wheel. It's ridiculous.
Nice.
I used to touch the steering wheel with my belly.
I'll never forget that day when John left here. He and Lori got in the Fiat. You couldn't even see the back seats because they were so freaking full. And I'm like, there's no room left for John. And somehow he got in that car. I'm like, I don't know how he got in there.
Lori and I bootstrapped our way all the way to what we have.
Well, I'm definitely going to implement this system, John. I think I'm still. I don't know how much growth mode I'm in anymore. I don't, because the advertising is not a huge expense. Reselling is a different type of business. I think it's possible to treat the profit line as like a 401k and take it off the top before you ever allocate anything else. I think his system is very reasonable for reselling. I like the way that it's very simple. Most people can understand it, and it's a good place for a lot of resellers to be to understand where the money flows. And you can take profit and you can take your owner's comp and then set the taxes aside, and then you deal with the rest of it. Because most people go the other way. They go, I just sold this for $30. I've got $30 to go buy more inventory. And then they sit around and go, but it's getting returned now. Oh my God, what do I do? The $30 is gone because they don't have any idea how the cash flows through the business. There's such a lack of understanding of cash flow and accounting principles in a business because most of us has never done this before. We've had to learn on our own.
Imagine working with the numbers I work with. I did 300. I did 389,000 in the month of December.
But you were very smart.
At 23% gross profit. Yeah, and everybody right away they go, "Oh, you're rich." You know what my expenses were?
I got credit card. You've had an accountant, and you've had somebody with numbers, and who's helped you make a lot of. You're smart enough to go, this is not my strength. Let me find somebody that is, and that's.
I had them on the phone 15 times today making this deal on this Fiat. How are we going to title it? How are we going to insure it? What registration are we going to use? What address? What what checking account am I writing a check out of it for the car? Josh said, you did as much in 15 days as I did all year. I didn't hit my $4 million goal, guys. I did I think we're going to come in just shy of 3.9 million for 2023.
I did a little less than that.
But listen, Todd, Scott will tell you there was days when I did $100 a day.
Oh, I got you beat. I did 140 today.
So you remember those days, Scott, when I used to show? Here's 100. I did 150 today. I would show it on my phone. We would have to hold the phone to the camera just right so that you could get the Amazon account to show.
So, John, when are you going to get totally hands off away from your business? Ever?
No, I don't think so. I enjoy it too much.
You're going to be 90 years old still going, I need to make another deal.
Yeah, but I get to go to my deals are a lot. What I do is different now. You hear me bitch a lot about not working too much. I spend more time bitching about working than I do actually working. in the month of December, I did not. I probably didn't put in 5 hours.
So you didn't get out in the field and plant poppies in the ground like Trina.
But John, it's like you do your work is very front loaded, right? I mean, you get a lot of high level planning and things that happen way before the busy season, and I think some people miss that, but that's at least. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but
No, Josh, that's a great point. Josh says that the difference between John and everybody else's time in the game, he's had ups and downs, and he's put in time that he's learned from it. 100% correct. Folks, for those of you who are this is the first time you've been introduced to Grumpy, he's really not grumpy anymore. He used to really be grumpy.
Yeah,
no, he's still grumpy.
I still got my moments.
When we met, I was the bigger seller. I outsold John by quite a bit.
Yep.
And we had different ideas. I'm where I wanted to be, and he is where he planned to be, and that understand that the vision you see for yourself is and where you're going can be completely different for somebody else, and you can still be happy. And there's no right or wrong. There's someone's bigger than other, or someone does this or does that. There's no right or wrong. There's what your goals and objectives are.
Yeah,
and
in the book, he talks about a level of business by how much. I mean, he divides it out by the amount of money a business makes, and at some point, you're working on the business and not in the business.
Right.
And that's where John is.
It's all about, if I was to do this again, and Scott's heard me say this a million times, I wouldn't be looking to do, our goal for 2024 is $6 million, which is a 50% growth. I have not put that number anywhere. It's not in any of my writings, but it's the number that's being discussed because of the deal I made in September in Philadelphia and all the stuff I have going on. This isn't where I want to be. This was I got caught on a hamster wheel that I wanted to get off of, and this is what it took to get off the hamster wheel. It's not as easy as as what people see in my life. I've put all the bad out there. People just tend to overlook it. It's not easy to step back from your business as a reseller.
People don't realize California almost took you out. Like, people don't realize how close you came to California taking you out.
Mm-hmm.
I was 2 hours from bankruptcy.
Wow.
That's once of 3 times in my career. The pandemic almost took me out. My payment, I don't know how many people remember this. Amazon waived 2 payments, 1 month of payments. If you were paid biweekly, it was 2 payments. And the first one was if your payment fell on the 5th of the month or later, they waived it. My payment fell on the 4th. And they went into my checking account and took $45,000 out that I had $48,000 sitting there. And then they took all my product and said it's non-essential, and they pushed it off to the side, and I wasn't able to sell. And everybody's like, well, ship it yourself. Well, I didn't have it. It was at Amazon. I couldn't ship it myself.
I remember that.
It was tough. I mean, I know you guys see me running out and buying a new car, and Lori and I own 5 cruises in 6 months, and you see all the stuff I'm doing now. What you don't see is the 17 years that it took me to get to this point.
Yeah.
Scott knows, because Scott and I have been very close friends through all of this. There was a time where Scott sold twice as much as I did. Scott would teach me how to do things.
Yeah, I don't think people realize that. You know, I always outsold Dusty, but Dusty taught both of us a lot.
But listen, Dusty was a smart man. Him and I didn't see eye to eye because he didn't understand what I was building. You know, he used to say I had grandiose ideas. I'll never forget when I put in my board of directors. Man, he called me at 11 o'clock at night and kept me on the phone for 2 hours telling me how big-headed I was and how much of an ego trip it was. And I kept trying to explain to him. I said, you don't understand what I'm building here. I am building a company that I'll be able to walk away from one day. And you know, I had a CFO, I had a vice president, I had a treasurer, I had a secretary, I had all the positions that you're supposed to have.
But had you gone into bankruptcy, could you have come back and been okay?
Yes.
See, that's ambition.
No. It's not that. You know what it is? It's luck. It's luck. And I've said this for 17 years. It takes luck. And luck stands for labor under correct knowledge.
That's what you
And
got.
your first step right now is the book that you just read. That's your first step.
You know, I talked for several minutes early tonight about. I didn't mention you specifically, but I think I told people whenever I first talked about this, you consume a lot of books, and your level of knowledge has changed dramatically since I've known you, and thinking and business concepts. And I missed that boat, and so my goal this year has been moved up to 3 books a month. I think this one had a profound impact, and I'm like, why have I not been doing something like this sooner to develop that side of thinking for me, for my business? And so, you know, this is a great first step. I'm glad quite a few people are here with us tonight. It's you got to hone this side of the business, folks. It's just as important as what you sell. It's important as where you sell it. Because if you can't get this part right, you can't continue to do the other part. It takes it all. You got to give yourself a lot of credit. You are a business owner. You run a small business, and you know you do the high level thinking, you do the purchasing, you do a lot of the manual labor, but you know, and you do a lot of the accounting. And the accounting and finance means understanding and properly taking care of the funds that go through your business. It is. So what are my 3 books? I've got a huge list that I've got on Audible. I just been making them. Been know this guy Mike. I'm probably gonna do the Pumpkin Plan next. Maybe or that or the Toilet Paper Entrepreneur. That's one of his 2 books that I've got on here. Where's the? I was watching Steve Rakin the other night, and he has. I like his business plan and he has taken a lot of his knowledge, and he has built. I don't know that I necessarily want to build courses, but more of a teaching and aspect of a group. So he has suggested the one that he said that he works for.
There's no
What's it
yawning,
called?
Trina. No yawning allowed.
Yeah, if I got to be awake, you got to be awake.
It's something about EOS.
Trina worked hard today.
No,
I don't think
that's not a good book
John
for
did.
you.
You don't like the
Scott,
EOS life?
It's not good for you.
Gino Wickman, Rocket Fuel, and the EOS life.
I've read all those. I've read all those. EOS isn't going to help you. Here's the 3 books that I would recommend for this group. The 3 books I would recommend is Profit First, and that's about knowing your money. That's the first book. You got to understand your money if you're going to have a business. If it's a hobby, it's a different thing, guys. If this is a hobby and you're paying your bills with another income, this is different. Profit First. The second one I would suggest reading is Built to Sell. It's a very short, quick, easy book. It teaches you about how to start to put systems and processes into place and how to make decisions about your business and focus on one thing. You hear me talking about finding your lane and sticking to it. Built to Sell will give you a lot of that ideas. And
Built to Sell.
the third one would be One Thing. And the reason I suggest those three books, and Josh put up Atomic Habits and 0 to 1 and Profit First. I like Atomic Habits and 0 to 1. The problem is people don't understand what they're doing right now. And Built to Sell will help you understand what your business model should look like. And the One Thing will teach you how to focus on one thing that will make everything else easier or not important at all. And you'll start to put a to-do list together based on your business. I don't think Atomic Habits is about habits. It's not about forming habits at this point. For most people, they don't understand their business. I didn't understand my business. I hated my business. If anybody, I offered my business to people for free. Please take my business. Just give me a paycheck and let me do what I do best. Nobody took me up on that offer. I had to learn how to do all this other stuff.
So I already had both. I had all three of those plus yours. They were all on my list. So eventually, they're all on there. So
the reason I'm suggesting Built to Sell One Thing is it gives you, it'll give you a little bit of a focus based off of Profit First. It's going to build those business foundations and I think that's people's biggest problem is that they go into this and I went out to buy a business the last week between Christmas and New Year's. Hobby. They make a product. It's a hobby, but it's probably one of the best products in the market. And it's run like a hobby. And I said, if I gave you 20 grand, I overpaid by $19,500. And I was breaking their heart to tell them that. But it wasn't a business. It was a hobby. And too many people come and watch our show. And I really, after that 4 days in Ohio, I really understood a lot better. We talked to a lot of people that started this as a hobby or a side hustle that want to take it full time. But the problem is they have the hobbyist mindset. They need that, like the Built to Sell. They need to see it as a business. The Profit First. How do they get paid? One Thing. How do you focus on getting your business to improve in one area? Did you know that if you improve your business to sell $10 more a day for a year, you increase the volume of your company by $1 million in gross sales? Figure it out. If you have $10 more in sales today and $20 tomorrow and $30 the next day, just by doing one little thing and improving your sales by $10 a day, you'll increase your sales by $1 million. I started that in 2023 and I increased my sales by $750,000, give or take a few bucks. My numbers aren't done. All my reports are run, but now the accountant's dealing with them. I'll get a report in February or March.
Okay, so John Weber, the answer to your question is I'll be listening to Built to One on Thursday. I'll take John. John's is not let me astray eye, so I'll do Built to Sell and One Thing. My next two. The rest of January will be those two books. But I literally just been going through the app scan. I think that I've killed two my recurring expenses, and I'm gonna kill a third one tomorrow. Just ran out of time and forgot it today. I'm replacing this with just Audible books. The investment, because the one thing you hear a lot of YouTubers say and a lot of resellers say, and it's right and it's wrong. I think we lead people astray. We tell you that your mistakes are your tuition. That's wrong thinking. In this business, your tuition is business books. You've got to read and develop your. You've got to develop those skills. I
Josh
think the weakness.
Josh says that has anyone ever noticed that people that are successful are avid readers? Um, Literally, the keys to success are written down. I'll take that one step further. I also believe that journaling is a big part of it. If you follow people like Charlie Munger, Warren Buffett, Alex Hormozy, uh, pick anybody that's really successful, whether it be finance, real estate, or whatever. At some point in the day, they journal.
Joan, I'll ask. I don't see why you can't write up an audible subscription if you can prove that it's a business expense.
Education.
Education. It's an educational expense. I mean, you're not like I say. I got it. There's deals out there. Just Google their Audible deals. I've got it for $5 a month through April, and then it's $14.95 a month, and then you get one free book a month. So that would be, and then you get all the older books you can read. There's quite a few. There's a whole library of free stuff. But
if you have Amazon Business Prime, you can definitely get that deal automatically. And I think it actually is extended a little bit, but yeah.
And there is some truth to that. Your tuition is your mistakes. You know, I know a lot of times I come on here and I kind of look bored or like a deer in headlights. It's sometimes we talk about the same shit over and over and over again. That's a beginner's level, and I just kind of you got to understand that after 17 years, I don't remember what it was like when I started. I can't remember doing $200 a day. You know, I did 19,600 because I was like on the verge of 20 grand. I did more than 20,000 in one day in December, but on Amazon USA, I got to 19,600 and change. And I was refreshing it all day long because I've never done 20,000 on Amazon USA.
Well, I'm gonna change the script, John, because I'm gonna be immersing myself in these books every month. People need to get used to the fact that the Reseller report is going to be more. It's going to be go back to where advanced level. It's going to be more about talking about. You can come ask me the dumb question on Friday night. I'll drink liquor with you and answer your dumb question. But I really think the Wednesday show really needs to be focused on an hour and a half or so of just straight business. The weakness of all of us is, but with very few exceptions, you're the exception. But we can all understand business concepts better because I've been doing this since 2013 and I still suck at it because I have not made it a priority in my life, and so I'll start talking about these things because it'll be what I'm listening to. Well, as soon as I finish watching,
you know this, and some of the people here know that I do. I write for 2 hours every morning.
Mm-hmm.
Every morning, and it's not that I want you to read what I wrote. I don't care if anybody ever reads it. Because if you follow what I write, I wake up in the morning with whatever the problem of the day is going to be, the one thing that I need to focus on that day. And you see me break it down and like, well, if I did this, then this will happen. So I start thinking as a business. And as you learn how to step back away from your business, even though you may be the only person doing the work, as you start to step back, you start to see things that you can change or do to improve your business. There's tons of things that you can do, and you got to keep it simple. I say this all the time. You got to simple at your level is complicated at mine.
Right.
So if you're complicating it at your level, how are you ever going to get near my level? Listings do not need to be complicated. Look at my listings. Very simple, very plain, very basic. Do the job. And they're all in basically the same form. Didn't you discuss the book and the principles? I know I got here. You started this like an hour and a half ago, right?
Yeah, Martin, I think we hit the book pretty hard the first hour, right? Yeah, watch the beginning of this, Martin. And then if you can listen to us talking like robots yesterday, we spent another 20 minutes before the internet died yesterday. Uh, um, this this was an amazing book to start. It's really got me excited. You know, it's really helped me to identify what my weaknesses are. Necessarily, it's not even though it strictly is the cash flow through the business. My weakness is on and the more I'm experiencing with Josh too, and see that he talks at a different level, it's because of his readings and John's readings that I haven't read enough and exposing myself to enough of these concepts. And so I'm gonna play catch up mode very quickly.
Now, the one thing I could tell you is, as you read, you cannot apply this stuff verbatim from the book.
Right.
You have to figure how it works for you. Profit first does not work for me. I got a guy with a freaking master's degree and like 2 classes from his doctorate. He's my CFO. He's not going to go have 7 different accounts. He does all that in spreadsheets.
Right.
But he's also not the audience that this book was written for either.
But he had to break it down. He has to break down his spreadsheet so that I understand it on a profit first level.
Right.
And I made him read this book. I said, you got to read this book so you can understand what I'm talking about and why I need it broken down this way. We have 2 accounts. We have a retained profit account, and we have an operations account. Because I'm a corporation, I have to be paid a salary.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, same here.
And my company pays a monthly dividend. And it's the same dividend every month. And I have no problems with the profit first part of my business. My check is on the first of every month. I get my dividend. It's called an owner's draw, and every Friday I get a salary. And the numbers are big. I mean, I'm not going to lie; it's over 200,000 in 2023. But it's
no, I get it. Each book's going to teach me something, and it's about my business and who I am, and help define, help narrow my thinking and improve my processes. So, and that's what I'm looking for. I'm not looking for some cookie cut that I'm going to try to apply everything. I get that you can't do that, but.
And the book that changed my life was a 4-hour work week.
Great book. I mean, hard to follow for a little bit, but yeah, it's.
And it wasn't about the thing that I took away from the 4-hour work week more than anything else was, when the work's there, do the work.
Mm-hmm.
He'll work 60 hours in a week,
mm-hmm.
and then he'll take 6 months off. But I had to learn how to do that. If you hit, I don't know that profit first would have changed my life. Because it took me 7. You got to understand, there's kids now that surpass me in sales that have been doing it for 2 years. There was a huge learning curve in the beginning that I was at a disadvantage of, that most of the people now don't have. There was no Facebook groups when I started. There was no books. Chris Green was a nobody. You know, all these people that are gurus now and all these YouTube channels. I mean, how many years have we been doing this, Beard, on YouTube? Between Paul's group, Paul's thing, my thing, your thing, and we've all been. So are we starting next book for next week? They want to know if they're doing another book for next week.
I'm doing one, but you guys don't have to. I'll talk about any learnings on the Wednesday show. But the next book is Chris Voss, the Don't Split the Difference or Never Split the Difference. Negotiating.
I got to read that. I never read that. But I want to tell you how important luck is. It's labor under correct knowledge. It's the most important thing. I had a meeting with a man in September, I think it was. I can ask Lori when she had me flights booked out there. I went to Philly and I made a deal. And this deal's probably worth we're estimating somewhere between $250,000 to $500,000 a year royalty fees to me. It's a deal that took me 6 years. I met a man that owns $1 billion company. He gave me 5 minutes of time to make this entire deal. 5 minutes. And when you sit in a room with a guy that runs $1 billion company, I learned so much. Now, I kept him there for 20 minutes. I did stand up and take control of the show, and he wasn't leaving because he didn't hear it and he wanted to hear it all. But I put 6 years into this meeting. When you do this, as you work your way up, these deals become bigger and bigger. And you get to pick which deals you want to actually work on and which ones you don't. I'm reading Built to Sell on Thursday. It's a real quick read, Scott.
Well, I'm listening to it. I'm going sourcing in Mississippi and back, so I'm gonna listen there and back.
There's a lot of information there. I don't know that Profit First would have been would have changed my life, but it could have. I know that one of the first business books I read was The 4-Hour Work Week after I started my eBay, and it wasn't. It was just that Tim Ferriss at the time was real hot. He was like everywhere's on YouTube. I love to watch YouTube. I watched no entertainment on YouTube.
There's entertainment on YouTube?
I guess I watch.
Is car crashes considered entertainment?
I guess I don't watch car crashes. I watch. I'll tell you who I really like is Ben Mala, the real estate guy. When he's doing an interview. Another great guy that does interviews is Dave Ramsey. He's been doing a lot of interviews lately. He did one with Graham Stephan. Totally different person than on the high horse yelling and screaming. He is a much more well-educated. It's how smart he is pretty strong. Who's in his group? Dave Ramsey is in a mentorship group with, I forget who it is, but these people are. It's who you surround yourself with. Who do you work with? I closed a $250,000 royalty deal in December. It will change my life and my business. And it's an interesting concept.
Yeah. So he had a collector.
We have so much anger. I don't believe that.
So Josh had a collector, and he started investigating how much it would take to sell the collection on eBay and how long it would take, and he realized that was the wrong way. But that he could put the collector together with the auction house, and really smart thinking.
But I bet you he picked it up out of a book somewhere. That's knowledge there. That's knowledge. No, I think Graham and Dave, Josh, I think Graham and Dave have a mutual respect for each other. Listen, Dave's got to be hardline because that's his business. That's his business, and I agree with how he runs his way of thinking and his little cult filing of people.
Now we talked about him. We talked about him a little earlier that his theory and concept are good for a individual, but they are not as great for businesses because of business debt and financing for business and stuff are not for a lot of businesses that is not the way to go.
Well, I got $500,000 in inventory. Without leverage, I wouldn't be able to carry $500,000 in inventory. And if Joe Biden didn't do anything else, he gave me a nice interest rate. He had the SBA giving out loans at 3.75. So, but I'm not taking it. Listen, that's the other thing is, if you get these loans and you borrow this money and you do this stuff, you can't see it as free money. You can't see you need to pay this stuff down. I have a 30-year loan for $325,000 SBA loan that I got right after COVID. And I'm 57. I'll be 58 next month. At 62, I will have that paid down to zero. Yeah. Okay, so but it was an education. It wasn't something that you just. I guess that's what I'm saying, Josh, is that somebody planted a seed there for you to think that way, and that's what these books do. Is they plant seeds. They can't run your business.
Yeah, and that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for more of a mental education to make
better decisions.
Yeah, definitely more informed decisions.
Well, and Scott, you got to be honest of why you're doing it at this age. You don't want to do this the rest of your life.
I will at some form, but I don't want to have to.
Right. But what I'm saying is you're looking to step back at some point. You're starting to see that you need it to be a business if it's going to last you the rest of your lifetime.
Yeah, I'd see. Josh asked you the question. If I would have had a book like Profit First in 15 or 16, I think I would be in a different place. I think it would have changed.
I've read it in 13 or 14, I think. Whenever it first came out, when it first came out and it was real popular in the e-commerce groups, I read it. And I was like, this makes a lot of sense. And my CFO said, yeah, I ain't doing that. That's freaking baby steps. I'm out. And I'm like, you're going to read the freaking book because I pay you. So, but you got to understand, I know you're supposed to surround yourself with smarter people and all, you hear all this stuff. But the smart people still have to answer to you, and you have to be able to understand what they're talking about to operate your business. Scott loves the game. Yes, Scott absolutely loves it. Scott loves the game just a little bit too much. I miss the game. That's what people don't understand, how much I miss the game. I miss going out there and scanning something like I did the other day that makes 900%, and I could have bought a ton of them, and I guess they're being discontinued. I miss doing that, but I looked at it and went, okay, that couple $100 I can make with a phone call over here if I call and say I need this. Or I have to talk to a lawyer. I'm talking to a lawyer right now because of my legal issues for Canada. There's all kinds of laws that changed on January 1st about shipping into Canada, and I ship a truckload a quarter into Canada FBA. Things have changed. You got to get off your ass and get to work. Yeah, I haven't. I've been saying that a lot lately, Mr. Sadie. You do got to get off your ass.
I don't know if I got you today with my women's maxi pads, Josh, but if you throw the hairspray in, I probably got you. Yeah, so John, the last few days since the last Wednesday show, reading this book, one of the things he talks about is examining what in your business makes the money, and it talks about overall. And I started thinking, I'm really good at finding discontinued products, and I love to chase, and I haven't done it in a year, and there's my sales have fallen off, and it's my own damn fault for. And so I went back I started baby hunting for a few days. And so I found an item that had been out for 2 years, and I found 80 something of them. And so, so I'm going hunting Thursday. So,
yeah, but while you're doing that, you should also be looking for a shopping list, a steady shopping list of products you can just replenish every week.
Josh, I sold $120 in hairspray today. Three hairsprays, $120. And I'm telling you, come to Amazon. They crazy over there. I had a lady today. It's a $3.60 or 70 cents pack of maxi pads. She paid $25 for them and $24 express shipping for a. They haven't been made. They haven't been out in 2 years.
Hey, when you need a pad, remember the ass pads?
With taxes and everything, it was $52 and change. Insane.
I only did $121.35 on eBay USA.
But and so it's that kind of change. But also I'm trying to do things, trying to figure out how to do things different than where I am now, where I've got this building probably 70% done. What if I'm now going to clear these shelves? A lot of the stuff that's on eBay or haven't been, I'm gonna work on sending it through the auction. Because eBay needs to be for certain products now. I really, I realize I'm good at eBay, but I'm better at Amazon. And
eBay's
my life, but my happiest in my life and the easiest my business was in my life is when I allowed Amazon to do the work with me. And I think that's the key that I've been missing is the FBA. Even with the issues with FBA, you can't, folks. I got blinded and distracted and talked myself out of a lot of FBA because there's been a lot of issues with FBA. It's still the best game out there, and that's something that you can't let yourself be affected. And I did by the negatives of something, even though the positives are way outweigh it in my life. And so
I'm going to bed. I'm going to bed. I promised Scott I would help him with this, and I got home late from buying a car, Pat. I don't know if you know I was in a car accident.
It's not good, man. So this book was Trina's suggestion, and she's implemented it about 90%, and she did a nice job of explaining it and asking questions at the first of the show. So I really thank her a lot. She'll be alive tomorrow, This is a great suggestion and great start.
I don't know if I can be here in the morning. I leave. I have a cruise on Saturday, guys. Where are we going this time, babe?
Mexican Riviera.
Mexican Riviera.
And we're riding a camel in Cabo.
And we're riding a We're riding a camel. I'm riding a camel in Cabo.
I'd love to see pictures of that.
That's
Follow
got
me
to
on
be better than
Facebook.
skydiving, John.
I want to try that still. It's been a
I
long
rode
time.
a camel in Cairo, but not Cabo.
Yeah, I'm okay, Mr. Sadie. He whaled the Jeep. I mean, he got me good.
Wait, did you tell about March? What we got for $900?
What?
Tell about March.
Oh, she wants me to tell you about March. She got us a cruise. It was $200 a person for a balcony to Hawaii for 15 days.
Jeez.
My wife can find a deal.
That's a deal.
Early bird special.
Yeah. So Peyton,
Oh,
I've been a little bit.
Josh, you're in Canada?
Yeah, he lives right over. He's got an office and stuff in Niagara.
He's the guy that comes over and ships from the U.S. and then goes home.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have I use all third party companies. They're really good. Don't use Alaskan Airlines. I'm taking a cruise, Pat.
Yeah. So Peyton House. There's no right or wrong business model. There's just the ones you enjoy, and I miss being out on the open road. I miss being out chasing stuff. So, I'm excited that you have built a great used clothing business. That is, I am going back to RA, and I don't chase the hot item, by the way. Nothing I chase is hot. Those maxi pads, they ain't been hot for a while. They've been out of commission for 2 years.
The problem is what you're good at is you're good at finding the desirable out of production products.
Yeah, discontinued. Yeah.
So
I don't. If I'm on a hot item, something's wrong because I'm not chasing the hot item.
Yeah. All right, guys, I'm out of here. I'll try and get here in the morning. Sorry again that I didn't get here for the beginning.
No.
But
Hey, thanks for dropping by, John.
What are you reading next?
I'm doing Built to Sell, but everybody else next month it'll be
Never Split the Difference.
Never Split the Difference, Chris Voss.
All right, I'll get it and read it. I haven't read that one yet. All right, guys, have a blessed one. Good night.
See you, my friend. It's Peyton House. It's important that if you read the book, you'll understand. It really brought some clarity in my mind when he talks about really think about what makes you happy in your business and what are you good at? What's the money making? What in your business is the money making part of your business? And I had lost contact with the fact that for the last 10 years, FBA has been the dominant factor of making money in business, and I have not taken care of that part of the business. And so, in order to set things back right, not only am I going to go back to doing that, but I'm also going to run things through a profit first type system so that I am a better steward of the money that comes to the business this time. I was very bad about all the money that came through. I was more into the lifestyle and only working every other week. I can't imagine where I would be if I'd have worked every week from 2015 to 2021. Yeah, it's a product of the fact that when you've been working 80 hours a week in restaurants for 25 years, that gets very old. And so your idea of what you need is different. All right. So hopefully this book has been worth it. 65 people. Thank you so much for being here. It really has. It's really changed my outlook for 2024. So I challenge you guys to do the same thing. Figure out what's going to work. Because I can promise you one thing: every platform, eBay, Amazon, Mercari, Poshmark, they're all going to have issues. Something that's not going to be perfect. It's not going to go your way. They're going to have changes, whether you like it or not. They're going to change something, and it's all about your mindset and your business setup. And are you prepared to uh, to beat your competition, take advantage of it, to do the things you need to do to, this is your business. This isn't the game. This isn't, this isn't go whine on YouTube and throw hate against everyone else. All that negativity does you no good. It clouds up your judgment, and that makes it. I challenge you when things get tough. I challenge you to buckle down, learn more. Efficiency. There's all kinds of things you can do react to tough times besides anger and hate and all the craziness that flipping sports got you 100% correct. Change and is inevitable. The sooner you deal with it and take it, folks, the people that are the most successful in life are the ones that see change as an opportunity. So many of you would tell me, "Oh, what don't like whatnot," but the people who decided that, hey, that was my strength. I think I can do that. Look at this. Oh, but they've got social. Man, go look at people who are selling on there now. There's a bunch of car guys and other kind of stuff that on whatnot that I never heard of them before. They don't have social media followings. They are consistent and learn how to build on a brand new platform. They took advantage of change. The change was a new opportunity. Simple as that. Can you do the same thing for your business? I challenge you to be the best version of yourself in 2024. I know I'm not right now, and I look forward to who I'm going to be at this time next year. It's gonna be awesome. If the Amish guy can do it, you can do it, right? All right, we'll give you a roll tide, and we're out of here. See you in the morning.
Good night.